when Kyrgios decided to drop out of the United Cup, especially at the very last minute, let's just say fans were more shocked than disheartened. If we're being honest, we definitely didn't see that coming, and it seems like one of his rivals decided to reignite the Kyrgios feud. But it wasn't long until the United Cup boss jumped in to defend the Aussie. Curious to know more? Keep watching to find out what exactly happened. First off, Kyrgios tried as hard as he could to compete in the United Cup. Not too long ago, Greek tennis star Tsitsipas told his rival, none other than Nick Kyrgios, that he really needs to enjoy his holidays now. After all, the Australian practically shocked his team right after he withdrew from the United Cup at the very last minute. Not only that, but he even pulled out of the mixed teams event on the day of the inaugural tournament that was supposed to take place in Sydney, Perth, and Brisbane. As for Tsitsipas, the real talent on the 8-player Greek side in Perth, it doesn't really come off as a surprise. Instead, he thinks that Kyrgios just needs to enjoy his time off. Following that, United Cup tournament director Stefan Farrow pretty much came to the Australian's defense, saying that he pushed himself as hard as he possibly could to be fit to play. And right after his practices, Farrow went up to talk to him about it, leaving hopeful. In fact, considering how the announcement came in at the very last minute, it just shows his passion for the sport. If anything, it seems like he dragged his decision to compete to the very end, hoping he'd be able to compete somehow, but sadly that wasn't the case. Following up, Kyrgios and Tsitsipas didn't always get along. Let's just say the duo had quite a fractious relationship, especially when it came to a head at Wimbledon in 2022. Yep, and that's exactly when Tsitsipas said that his Australian opponent had an evil side of his own, right after a bad-tempered third-round match between the two. In fact, that battle literally went into mayhem when a very frustrated Tsitsipas hit the ball into the crowd right after he lost the second set, and so the Australian told the umpire that his opponent might as well be kicked out of the tournament entirely. But it didn't end there. If anything, the bad feeling bubbled its way up again in post-match press conferences when Tsitsipas called him a bully. He said, "I don't know where all of his energy comes from. There is so much of it, I don't know how he does it." Adding to that, he talked about how they can't concentrate on their own game because of all the noise coming from the other side of the net. In a way, it's pretty distracting, and players need to try and overcome it somehow as they focus on the game. Not to mention, the United Cup is closer than you think. About 18 countries are going to compete in the United Cup. Along with that, 3 cities are going to be hosting group games in a round-robin format right before the final series in Sydney. As for the ties, it's going to be 2 men's and 2 women's singles matches along with 1 mixed doubles. Tsitsipas said the Greek team is pretty psyched up because they're going to be leading a minor tennis nation to huge achievements. In fact, their team has their eyes on the prize. As for actually winning it, Tsitsipas says they're definitely going to have to combine forces and commit every single day. In fact, when it comes to tennis, he's always talked about how team events were his absolute favorite, and he has a lot of faith in the players on the squad who are all working really hard for that final prize. Coming up, here's why Taylor Fritz thinks you need to come watch Nick Kyrgios. If anything, he thinks tennis needs to attract the younger generation. We're looking at you, Gen Z, and embracing a personality like Kyrgios might be one of the best ways to help the game. Yes, he's never won a Grand Slam and hasn't even been ranked inside the top 10. On the other hand, every single tournament wants him anyway. Why? Well, mostly because he's literally one of the best when it comes to selling tickets. Having said that, let's not forget his on-court outbursts and tantrums that made him the subject of criticism. Yes, he definitely is one of the most popular players, especially among the younger generation, but there's a lot that goes into this. And in an interview with Clay, Fritz stepped in to talk about how the sport needs to attract a younger audience. In itself, it's always been considered as one of the classiest sports, but in today's generation, sports fans absolutely love the drama. As for Kyrgios, he's definitely the one to deliver in that matter. Sure, people don't want to see the players acting insane, but like Fritz said, there's a reason why every single one of the Australians' matches are super packed. Up next, tennis needs to move forward with Gen Z. Think about it. Like Fritz said, if tennis stays close-minded in a few aspects, then it's never going to reach the younger audience the way it should. Let's face it, they aren't really into the classy and polite kind of vibe anymore. So Fritz knows that a lot of people aren't going to be okay with players breaking rackets and all that sort of stuff, but the truth is, the younger audience surprisingly loves that sort of drama. As for the die-hard tennis fans who want to keep it classy and polite, they also understand that the sport needs to attract younger fans. And according to Fritz, the only way to do that is by injecting some drama. Let's put it this way, whenever players have some sort of beef or they don't seem to like each other, people are just suddenly so much more excited to see them play. And like he said, if we're being totally honest, it's a matchup because you just know there's definitely something going on between them. What's more, Netflix might bring in a new tennis docuseries. While we're on the topic of attracting younger audiences to the sport, it seems like drama might not be the only way. We all know how Netflix's hit Formula One show Drive to Survive got tons of fans and basically extended the fandom to a whole new area, and it looks like the streaming platform is gonna release another docuseries, but this time it's about professional tennis, and it's called Breakpoint. In fact, it's gonna debut on January 13th, which is about 3 days before the start of the 2023 Grand Slam season at the Australian Open. And if you haven't yet, do check out the 30-second teaser they released because it's definitely enough to get you super hyped. As for the first 5 episodes, they're gonna focus on Melbourne Park, Indian Wells, Madrid, and Roland Garros. Don't worry, you're not gonna have to wait too long because they'll be out sooner than you think. As for the season's next 5 episodes focusing on Wimbledon, Eastbourne, Queen's Club, the US Open, WTA Finals, and ATP Finals, you're gonna have to wait until June. Up next, here's some of your favorite players you can expect in the series. Let's just say you're gonna see a bunch of your favorite players there, and we're not just talking about any players. We've got Grand Slam champions Iga Swiatek and Sloane Stephens, and Grand Slam runners-up Casper Ruud, Nick Kyrgios, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Ons Jabeur, and of course Matteo Berrettini. Did you think that was it? Well, the list doesn't end here because we've also got Felix Auger-Aliassime, Ajla Tomljanovic, Taylor Fritz, Paula Badosa, and more. Now, even if they're not right in the center of the streaming series, some of the classic legends such as Serena Williams, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic are also going to make their appearances, some of whom might be done with their playing days while others proudly hold major titles from 2022. As a matter of fact, executive producer James Gay Reese said in a video interview that it's pretty hard to imagine another sport that's been dominated by just a few people for years and years. But if we're being honest, right now, they're nearing the finish line, like Novak or Rafa. So clearly, there's going to be new players coming in to mark their place as legends in the sport, and so the cycle of change continues. And like James said, the timing for the series was perfect because now they're going to introduce the new era of tennis. Take Tsitsipas, for example. A lot of people still don't know him the way they should, but did you know he's literally number 5 in the world? He's an amazing tennis player, and it's about time that players like him got the recognition they deserve. Finally, it's time to rethink the way the tennis world works right now. While legendary tennis players are literal icons in the name of the sport, it's about time we shone some light on the new generation. Let's not forget that Gay Reese and fellow executive producer Paul Martin are the same people who also made Drive to Survive, among a few other notable projects, and we already know how successful that's been. Not only that, but they're also focusing on other sports like golf and surfing. Clearly, we've got a lot coming our way this year. And if you didn't know already, the 4th season of Drive to Survive was released in March 2022, and it attracted the largest audience so far. In fact, it even made the Netflix Top 10 TV list in over 50 countries. If we're being honest, you want the exact same energy for tennis. On the one hand, the core audience is definitely the tennis enthusiasts. On the other hand, you also want the show to appeal to people who never really showed any interest in tennis in the first place, because that's exactly what happened with Drive to Survive that literally grew the F1 fandom. Having said that, we're hoping the new tennis docu-series brings the same kind of enthusiasm and excitement as Drive to Survive. As for you, go watch that 30-second teaser and get ready to watch out for the first 5 episodes. That's a wrap for this video. What's your take on Tsitsipas's comments on his rival withdrawing from the United Cup? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.